The Guinness Book of World Records is one of the most iconic manuscripts in the world, with records such as the longest DJ set to the fastest time solving a Rubik's Cube. The Guinness Book shows that humans are truly capable of some impressive achievements. And many of us actually do dream of having our names etched into the book next to some impressive record or another. Now, while many of us may be pretty content with just wishing for records, some people go out and chase them. And in some cases, these people may take things just a bit too far in their quest for a record. In this video, we'll go over some world records that went a little bit too far, as well as the lengths that these people went to achieve them. Join us as we have a look at 20 extreme world records that went way too far. Number 20. The Spirit of Australia. On October the 8th of 1978, Ken Warby, an Australian racer, set the world alight when he broke the water speed record. Using a wooden boat named the Spirit of Australia, he took on the coveted record, setting a time of 317 miles per hour. Prior to Ken, the water speed record had actually stood at 285 miles per hour, so it's safe to say that he had broke this one by quite the margin. To show just how dangerous it was, consider the fact that no one had managed to break that record to date, and it's literally been almost 40 years. Now, it's not for lack of trying. In fact, according to some reports, well over 10 people have tried to break Ken's record, and 7 of them have literally died in those attempts. Ken's record continues to stand to this day, and he and his team even spent many years afterwards breaking the record to try and fine-tune the boat, all in the hopes of making it even faster.
It's something we've really got to play by ear as you go through it. You know, there's not too many people in the world alive today that can tell you what it's all about, really over 200.
Ken died in February of 2023 with his record still intact, but this one may well be one that would stand for the next 40 years to come. Number 19. Dan Jansen. Pizza is the favorite food for many people in the world. The soft and sweet pie is also considered the national dish of Italy, although some believe that the title should actually go to the spaghetti bolognese instead. However, whatever way you slice it, many of us totally adore pizza. But can you imagine living on pizza alone for your entire life? Well, for Dan Jansen, that's just the way that it is. It's said that the variety is the spice of life, and many of us actually love trying out other foods from time to time, but Dan, however, has said hell no to any of that. He began eating only pizza at the age of 15 after he made a conscious effort to live a vegan lifestyle.
I've been eating pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for 25 years. 99.9% of my diet is pizza, and cheese pizza. I don't like toppings.
Dan's diet is so strict that he even monitors the toppings on his favorite dish. All he wants is cheese and a pinch of oregano, and he's good to go. He says that he's eaten over 30,000 pizzas in his life, and it doesn't look like he'll be stopping anytime soon. Despite being diabetic and needing a shot of insulin after each meal, his devotion to pizza remains absolute. Number 18. Brian Miser. Remember the beginning of The Wolf of Wall Street when the guys at the office throw a short guy at a target?
1, 2, 3!
Well, did you know that this is actually someone's job? Meet Brian Miser, a native of Peru who's literally known as the human fuse. Brian has been working as a human cannonball since 1999, and in 2014, he set the record for the longest distance traveled by a human on fire. That's right, this Peruvian human cannonball was set on fire, and to make things even worse, he was then shot out of a massive crossbow.
Oh,
All in all, Brian flew an impressive 104 feet and 7 inches, with flames covering his entire body. A lot of things could have gone wrong, but thank goodness that he landed just fine. Number 17. Chanye Holtgren. Kanye Hultgren is what some people would call a weirdo. The Space Cowboy, as he is known, has several entries in the Guinness Book of World Records, which includes the most swords swallowed simultaneously. I mean, for some reason, the guy just loves putting his body through quite a lot of punishment. However, his most shocking and perhaps dangerous record came back in 2010 when he broke the record for the most weight dragged with hooks in the eye sockets. Even as I say it, I can't imagine the look of shock on your face. At one public event, he dragged a rickshaw with 3 people on it using nothing but his eyes.
Nos olhos, para dar início a esta prova, são 5 pessoas neste rickshaw.
All in all, he was able to drag 907 pounds worth of weight with his eyeballs and pulled the rickshaw for over 10 meters, with the hooks not even piercing his skin. The feat was quite incredible, albeit bloody risky, but as the performance artist would explain, he's been putting his body at risk all of his life, so why not shoot for this record as well? Besides his strong eye sockets, he also holds the record for the heaviest weight dangled from a swallowed sword and the farthest distance traveled on a unicycle while juggling 3 objects. Number 16. Nik Wallenda. Nik Wallenda is no newcomer to the Guinness Book of World Records. He currently holds around 9 of them, which includes the feat of being the first person to walk across a tightrope over Niagara Falls. However, where Nick really took things too far was in 2015 when he walked the Orlando Eye, a Ferris wheel overlooking Orlando, Florida, that is literally 400 feet up in the air. Now for context, that's significantly higher than the Statue of Liberty.
Here, you can see everything. Governor Scott should be proud. Apparently everybody in Orlando has a job because they're not here. And there's a bunch of them over there. Look at that. All right, here we go.
All right, take it easy on that ladder.
On a particularly windy and wet morning, Nick rode to the top of the eye before climbing out and walking across a steel support beam that was only 6 inches in width. To make things even more crazy, the man literally did it without using a harness or any artificial balancers. To help you understand the sheer size of the craziness, you should check out his first-person camera view that captured the height at which he was walking.
Feels okay. You know, these shoes that my mom makes are made to deal with the dampness, but there's definitely a lot of moisture. You can actually see it rolling under my feet up here. So,
all in all, the entire walk took him about 4 minutes, and when he was finished, he was able to ride down using one of the Ferris wheel's capsules as he claimed his record. Number 15. Rocky Robinson. I already talked about the fastest boat in the world, and now you get to meet the fastest bike. Say hello to the Top One Attack, a specially made motorbike with a whopping 1,000 horsepower capacity. The Attack was designed with a singular focus on breaking the land speed record, and in 2010, American biker Rocky Robinson finally broke that record while riding at the Bonneville Speedway in Utah. All in all, the bullet-shaped vehicle was able to achieve a whopping top speed of 376 miles per hour. Now you may think that the feat would be pretty easy since Rocky was riding on the land, but you would be wrong. According to reports, the biker had tried to set this record several times, even flipping his bike 16 times as he kept riding at speeds that were well over 300 miles an hour. But finally, in the end, he got to his mark. Number 14. Rosalie Bradford. Rosalie Bradford was an American woman who set the Guinness World Record in 1987 for being the world's heaviest woman. After having dealt with childhood obesity, she went on to gain massive weight, hitting a whopping 1,200 pounds. She was so huge that she literally spent 8 hours of her life immobile and in bed, and shortly after setting the record, she developed congestive heart failure and had to be rushed to the hospital. It became quite obvious that she needed to lose weight if she ever hoped to preserve her life, and would eventually be in touch with Richard Simmons, a popular weight loss and fitness guru. That would begin the most transformative weight loss journey ever recorded, and thanks to her extensive regimen, Rosalie was able to lose 420 pounds in her first year. And by her 7th year, she had shed over 900 pounds. She then went on to give weight loss seminars to people who were looking to achieve the same thing, but sadly, she would pass away in 2006 from complications due to her earlier obesity. Number 13. The drunkest man ever. While the public's view of alcohol can differ, I personally don't have any qualms about it. In fact, I think that alcohol could be a net positive in anyone's life, but it is something that should always be done responsibly. As in with a lot of things though, it's important to be moderate in your intake of alcohol, but sadly one Polish man appeared to have missed that memo. In 2018, a man from Poland would be taken to a hospital after he had been involved in an accident. His name was not given, but he had reportedly been coming from a party when the accident occurred. Curious, the doctors then took a recording of the guy's blood alcohol level and found that it was 1.48%, which is the highest that's ever been recorded and well over any kind of legal limit anywhere in the world. The drunkest man on earth ended up not surviving the ordeal. However, while his incredibly high alcohol level didn't kill him, the injuries sustained in the accident were what had done him in. Number 12. Mikel Lotito. If you get hungry, you go out for some food. Maybe some macaroni and cheese, a burger, perhaps whatever. But for Mikel Lotito, regular food just didn't do the trick. The French entertainer was born in June of 1950 with the strange disorder known as pica, a rare psychological disorder that's marked by a desire to eat things that generally are not nutritious. In this case, his appetite was for just about anything, from glass to metal to literally nails. Back in the 1970s, he made headlines when he ate an entire Cessna 150 aircraft, literally eating the entire thing with all of its parts. The process would take 2 years, but he gobbled it all up, and to date, he holds the record for having the strangest diet ever. He ate everything from bicycles to chandeliers and even televisions. Ironically, he would die of natural causes in 2007, but one could only imagine the strange things that he'd be able to eat today if he were still alive. Number 11. Thomas Lackey. Wing walking is a pretty dangerous activity. For those who might not know about it, wing walking is basically the act of doing stunts on the wings of an airplane, all while it soars through the sky. This extreme sport is already dangerous on its own, but simply imagine how crazy it would be for an old person to try. The risk involved didn't stop Thomas Lackey from giving it a go. In 2013, at the mind-blowing age of 93 years and 100 days, he became the oldest person ever to wing walk.
When I'm up in the sky, I think mainly of my wife, because I always carry a photograph of her.
Thomas completed his journey while being strapped to the wings of a plane moving from Scotland to Ireland. The crazy part is that Thomas had actually set the previous record, wing walking at the age of 87 years old just a few years prior. You know, the best way to make sure that your record is never usurped is just by breaking it yourself. For most people, even being inside of a moving plane can be a gripping experience, but Thomas, on the other hand, is just an example of a next-level boss. Number 10. Jackie Bibby. We'll up the ante a little bit. If you're not a fan of snakes, then you may want to cover your eyes for a moment. For most of us, snakes are an absolute no-go. I mean, the moment I even see one of these creepy crawly suckers, I immediately bounce. But Jackie Bibby appears to be made of stronger steel than I am. Known as the Texas Snake Man, Jackie currently holds some really slithery world records. He's laid in a bathtub with 195 live rattlesnakes, and he's even crawled headfirst onto a sleeping bag along with 24 of them. However, the craziest of his records would come in February of 2021. That's when he put 13 rattlesnakes in his mouth. Jackie entered the Go Big show on TBS, where he tried the amazing feat, and I have to say it was very nerve-wracking to watch at the very least.
We're ready.
And it got real loud.
All right.
But try to get them tails level before you hand them to me.
Lord have mercy.
You guys ready? All right.
Now, I'm not exactly sure what was going through the guy's mind, but he was determined to get it done, and then came the moment of truth.
Oh, no, Jackie, no! Oh, Jackie!
7 rattlesnakes in his mouth?
I literally just have no words for what I just saw. Number 9. Ashrita Furman. Ashrita Furman is a professional thrill seeker who's currently listed as the man with the most Guinness World Records. As of 2017, he had set 600 records while holding 530 of those. Ashrita has been breaking records since about 1979, when he did 27,000 jumping jacks in a row. In 1986, he set the record for underwater pogo stick jumping, and since then, he's gone on to invest and break one record after another. This guy basically just lives his life looking for fun records to break. In June of 2016, things really took to a new level as he would set the record for the most spears caught from a spear gun underwater. All in all, Ashrita caught 14 spears consecutively, using nothing but his bare hands. The spears themselves were roughly 2 feet in length and were fired from just 6.5 feet away, and even the slightest mistake could have left him with some pretty nasty injuries. Despite the incredible danger of it all, he stood rock solid catching each of them, and that's the mark of an absolute legend right there. Number 8. Felipe Petit. Felipe Petit is arguably the most popular high wire artist of all time. The performance artist first grew popular back in 1971 when he did an unauthorized high wire walk between the towers of the Notre Dame Cathedral. The unauthorized walk was viewed by millions across the world, and it put him on the map for good. After walking over the Sydney Harbor Bridge in 1973, the Frenchman then set his sights on the big one, New York City's World Trade Center. On the morning of August 7th, 1974, he finally got his date with destiny. And to put things into context, the Twin Towers had about 114 stories each, which meant that Felipe stood at a distance of over 1,300 feet in the air. With a cable that measured just 1 inch and nothing but a balancing pole, he had one of the most iconic walks in human history.
There's somebody out there in a tightrope walk between the 2 towers of the World Trade Center, right at the tippy top.
The 24-year-old Felipe walked 4 times between the 2 towers, starting from the north to the south and then back again. He even sat down on the cable once, and at another point laid on his back. Felipe's incredible feat would eventually be turned into a movie known as The Walk, which starred Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Number 7. Lazo Schaller. Now, you know that big diving board that you have on a regular pool? The one where it's really high up and you jump into the water? It can be an exhilarating experience, but for Lazo Schaller, fear is a non-existent word when it comes to that. In 2015, the Brazilian-Swiss athlete decided to take his love for diving to the max when he set the record for the highest jump from land into water. To do that, he jumped from a cliff that covered a distance of 58.8 meters before entering a pool that was right below. For context in this, the Leaning Tower of Pisa stands at 56.71 meters. Now, you may think that this was just some regular jump, but considering that he was moving at a top speed of 112 kilometers per hour and doing the jump from a rocky cliffside, I don't think that anyone could have imagined the danger that he was putting himself through to do this. The athlete did dislocate his hip as a result of the jump, but at least he got his record in the end. Number 6. John Evans. While he worked as a bricklayer, John Evans discovered that he had the uncanny ability to balance a lot of heavy things on his head. He began to work on that talent, balancing one heavy thing after another on his noggin, until he literally had built a life out of it. After taking his incredible talent on the road for several years, he decided to go for the big one, the Guinness World Record. And in 1999, John finally got his chance in front of a captivated live audience. While at the London studios, John balanced a gutted Mini, a vehicle that weighed a gobsmacking 160 kilograms, on his head. He held the car on his head for a total of 33 seconds, combining incredible strength and optimal mental focus to pull off such an amazing feat. Now, I don't think I need to remind you, but let me do it since you're here. Please don't try things like this at home, because any slight misstep, and you're going to be looking significantly more flat than you normally would. Number 5. Rowan Lingming. Despite being relatively small, bees are amongst the most feared animals in the world. Their stings can be quite painful, and even though it's estimated that it would take about 1,000 bee stings to kill an adult, most of us don't even want to be hit once. Interestingly, scientists have discovered that bees can be pretty tame if you keep your cool, and this is apparently the lesson that this man taught the world when he set the record for the heaviest mantle of bees. This Chinese man, who had worked as a beekeeper, decided to make his mark in history back in January of 2016 with the Guinness Book of World Records certifying his achievement. According to official records, his bee mantle weighed a massive 63.7 kilograms, consisting of about 637,000 individual bees and a gobsmacking 60 queens. He was reportedly stung several hundred times in his attempt, and this is not surprising since the bees pretty much covered his entire body. Now, I'm happy for the guy, but I can't even imagine how risky it was. I'll be passing on trying to break this record for sure. Number 4. Daniel Scally. Planks are an essential part of any exercise regimen. We all hate doing planks, and some scientists have even questioned whether or not they actually help in making you fit. But planks are still amongst the most popular regimens for many people who are looking to bulk up. While most people tend to break their planks into different sets of 1-minute sessions, one Australian athlete named Daniel Scally blew everyone's minds when he set the record for the longest plank ever. Before Daniel, an American fitness enthusiast named George Hood had set the longest plank record, holding the position for 8 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds back in the year 2020. But Daniel, well, he decided to extend things, holding his plank position for 9 hours and 30 minutes.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Even more impressive was the fact that Daniel had suffered from a rare condition that made this entire ordeal almost unbearable. Daniel had to work through some significant pain and pressure in order to make sure that he got his record, and he can rest easy knowing that no man could do a longer plank than him. Well, not yet anyways. Number 3. Valerian Romanovsky. While most of us run from ice, some people do embrace it, but I don't think there's anyone who seems to be in love with ice quite like Valerian Romanovsky. In 2022, the Polish scientist set the world record for the longest duration submerged in ice when he stayed in a frozen cubicle for 3 hours and 26 seconds. For context, the previous record was 2 hours and 35 minutes and 33 seconds, so he smashed that one pretty hard. According to the Guinness Book, he spent half a year training for this attempt, which was also time that he had spent in some of the coldest places on the planet. On the day of his attempt, the weather was a chilly 8 degrees Celsius, with massive winds and even occasional rain, all of which added to the difficulty of his attempt. Still though, he powered through, and in the end he received his record. So the question remains, do you like the cold? Well, good luck trying to beat this guy. Number 2. Polish piercing lady. If you're ever going to get a piercing, I think that one of the biggest pieces of advice that most people would give you is to take things easy and remember to do it in moderation. But for this Polish woman, it was the case of go big or go home. In May of 2015, she completely blew everyone away when she received an incredible 5,000 piercings inserted into her body in just 8 hours. While she isn't the most pierced woman in the world, the fact that she achieved this in such small amounts of time and actually survived afterwards was enough to earn her a place on the Guinness Book of World Records. To be fair though, it would actually have sucked if she didn't get the record. I mean, think about it. Would she have had to take all those piercings out? Would she have gotten more in a few more hours? Oh, the decisions that had to be made. Number 1. Felix Baumgartner. They say that the sky's the limit. However, Austrian skydiver Felix Baumgartner appeared to be amongst the select few who believed that the sky was really only the beginning. In 2012, he flew an altitude of 128,100 feet in a helium balloon, and then completed the world's longest ever free diving fall. From the edge of space, Felix took a couple of breaths, looked down, and took the biggest leap of his life as he careened towards the Earth. Felix's jump was clocked at a maximum of 1,357 kilometers per hour. To put that into context, that's Mach 1.25. It also meant that the Austrian skydiver had also become the first person to ever break the sound barrier without the use of a vehicle. Some of us can barely even jump from our bunk beds, but this guy literally jumped from space, which is absolutely astonishing. In the quest for greatness, sometimes you've got to give it your all, and for some people that also means risking it all. Which of these records do you think you could give a go? Let us know all about it in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.